To be honest, it starts all, in my opinion, with customer behavior.
Okay.
Because I think that, in developing markets, let's take, for example, India, like those people have to get used to, buying online, and that drives also certain trends, right? So, for example, let's take India as an example. This is a market that is not, let's say, very developed in terms of e-commerce. It is not the richest country. So, actually, in this case, mobile websites are much more important than in Europe, because it's a starting market. People don't have money always for laptops, or people don't always have laptops, and they're doing everything on the phone. Right? Yeah. I think there's several factors actually. It also has to do with country dynamics and things like that.
I think also like brand availability online, because if you have already like this tendency, you have a custom of buying like some kind of products because you trust them or something. If they are not available online, you simply won't move to online, right? So that's why even the weirdest companies, like for example, at first glance you wouldn't think about buying like I don't know, drugs or any like pharmacy stuff online, right? You just go to drugstore and you're buying it, right? So for example, for pharmacies, I think that's why it is still developing, because they still didn't like fully develop in e-commerce, because people were used to buying it stationary, but then still, if you are used to some kind of products, you will also want to buy them online at some point, because it's just way more comfortable. So that's why even these companies had to say hello to e-commerce and start joining, right? So brand availability online, I think that's one of the things. The comfort of buying online, for sure. I mean, how much effort it is for people to buy online.
Yeah, because taking the pharmacy example, in some countries you see that what they're doing is they are WhatsApping the pharmacist, for example, to what you want. Or last time when I was in Dubai, I said that you could even WhatsApp Carrefour and say what you want to buy. Right? So it's also what's the ease of doing things, right?
Yeah. Because people will start. That's how I understand it. The factor that's driving e-commerce. People will start buying online if they will see that at some point it's becoming more comfortable than just going and doing it yourself. And I think at this point we're really close to e-commerce being like really comfortable in using, and even I think too comfortable. That's something that we discussed on previous also podcast, that you can buy some things so quickly that they can come tomorrow, that people are starting to get concerned about the costs of the delivery in terms of planet and stuff like that. That's there deliveries traveling with small packages, and you can have them even tomorrow. This means that they leave a huge footprint, right, in carbon.
But this is why I love this parcel lockers, because I think this is a solution for many things, right? That all the packages are going to one central point, which is very close to your house, right? This delivery truck doesn't have to stop everywhere, so it's not bothering everybody. It just stops at one place. I think that this is something that you now also see in other countries actually being introduced, which is something that Poland has already fully adopted. I think this is great, because also if you are, let's say that you're at work, and your parcel would come, then it's annoying, right? Because then you have to stay home. How many times does people have to stay home because a parcel is coming, right?
Yeah, and I think we used to already create let's say parcel lockers, like asking the delivery guy to leave it in the store, or leave it in flower shop or something like that. So we already had the kind of lockers, but then they just filled the gap in the market, right?
No, I see, for example, in Poland this is introduced, but in the Netherlands, for example, they are just starting with this, for example. They don't have this full distribution of this yet.
Yeah, I also saw some reports about the shoppers' approach to parcel lockers, and for example, in Spain, they're not used to leaving anything in parcel lockers. There's not too many of them, but they also are used to just having them at the door, or because I don't know, they trust it more, or I don't know what are the factors, but in some countries it is just much harder for such companies as InPost, for example, to.
Well, I think this is what, talking about trends are coming back, this is why, you have global trend, and then you see all this, individualistic things for market-specific things or country-specific things, right? This is always very important. I think it's very interesting to also ask, how as a brand can you cater to all of those things, right? How can I make sure that I have, one experience and I can deliver that to each and every customer in the same way. Yeah.
So I think these are the main factors, because we are digressing so much.
It's a big question, but well, I think TikTok and this how's it called, the live shopping. I think these are two, or even like Instagram ads and stuff like that. I think that is the most the influencing, right? I think that is the
that's the thing that wasn't. I mean, we had like some kind of we can call them influencers, like even before the internet, let's say, era, but it wasn't so direct. You have commercials when famous people are telling you that, okay, this is a great product, right? And then you can go to the store and maybe think of this brand and buy it. But then when you see it on social media, you have like within 1 or 2 clicks, you can already purchase the product. So it shortened the path between the act of being influenced and the shopping possibility.
Previously we had what you call like trendsetter, right? Somebody would do something and everybody would follow that, and that would be local, right? But now like you have like 100,000 followers, so this one person that normally would maybe touch 1,000 is now touching 100,000. So this whole influencing, it affected the growth or how quick you can reach people, basically.
So it was a huge change for e-commerce, I think.
And I think also more brands are jumping on this and are now willing to invest in this and see the usefulness of this.
And the platforms also caught up with it. I mean, Instagram and Facebook just very quickly, let's say, saw the potential and started adding these shopping functionalities so that brands can directly link their products in their posts.
Well, isn't TikTok also based on this idea a bit? It's all about videos, like.
Yeah, I mean, TikTok is not that developed in terms of like monetization yet, as far as I know. But then, I mean, it goes in the same direction as other.
Yeah, exactly. I think. The biggest change, what you're seeing, is that previously those marketplaces were like, they were only selling their own products. And now what you see is that they're opening also for like other parties to sell,
I mean,
right?
In general, the idea of marketplace is to give people platform, let's say outside vendors and sellers to start selling on your platform. So it takes the weight of your shoulders in terms of like the whole operations, right? But then what's changing, I think, it's not even recently, but in years already, is that these platforms, if they are regional or even global, I mean in Europe or worldwide, they allow you to easily transfer, let's say, your products to other countries. So if you are only selling like you can sell in your country, but then they can open other markets for you. So they allow you to sell the products to, I don't know, in Germany, in France, like Amazon does, right?
I think Vinted is a nice example of that, because sometimes, you sell something and you don't know, I've sold something to Czech Republic or to Stockholm, right? And that's, it's like, you don't even know that you've sold it because it's also being offered there.
Huge. Again, it's not a huge question, but the role is huge. I would say the role is obvious, and because if you ask people what's the main, let's say, factor that they look, of course, by the country it's a bit different. But for example, data from Poland shows that the main 2 factors are price and reviews. Like, people are checking reviews. What are the expression and what are the experiences with the product from other people. And that's why you can see that, I don't know, the Google is also already showing that in search results. So I would say it's a huge, and That's why also almost all of the platforms, like e-commerce platforms, have some kind of review system, and that's why they're pushing you to leave review after you purchase something, because it's a huge factor for people.
I think especially for more expensive products like electronics, or something that, you're not going to check the reviews for maybe a shampoo or a deodorant. Maybe you would, but not so often as if you're buying a TV. You're checking everything, right? That you will compare even reviews on different websites, for example, right? So
or fashion, right? Like, is the fabric okay? Like, how is it wearing? And stuff like that.
And I think for customers and local businesses, I think, for example, things like Google Maps also changed, right? Because previously, if you were on holiday or you were somewhere where you don't know and you wanted to eat something or go somewhere, this looks okay, let's go there. Now you have internet, you check, what are the reviews, and if the place is not great, then you would avoid that, right? So I think this is all thanks to the reviews.
And that's why also this user-generated content is such a big thing for many platforms, and also for brands. That when the users themselves are creating high-quality reviews, they are basically doing all of the documentation work for the brand itself, right? And people tend to trust other shoppers more than the brand itself, because brand is just bragging, right? So
because you're also guiding people basically. I have a very funny example. I had to bring our cat to the vet, and I found the vet on Google, but because it was very hard to find in the building where this where this thing was located, right? So they helped me very nicely, and I said, as a thank you, what I will do, I'll make a picture of your door and I'll post it on your Google Maps, because it's very hard to find where to enter, and on this picture you could actually see the surroundings, so you could see where you enter. I think this picture had like over 100,000 views in the last 2 years. It's crazy, like so you've helped so many people with finding the right place.
You're the local guide in Google.
Nah, I'm like I'm very low level, but this I like to use Google also, for places even here around Warsaw. That somebody tells me about a place. Is this a nice place? Well, it has good rating. That I remember the taco place still with that 5-star rating, like 5-star rating. I want to go there. I want to know why this is so good.
That they have another place, the bigger one.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So maybe for next time. Good question for
that's it. Yeah. Hi, innovations here. I think it's quite easy guess just to sit and see how the whole, let's say, ChatGPT thing and in general AI comes into the e-commerce world, because it already is there, like chatbots and stuff like that. In general, this whole language models and interpretation of language, how does it affect? But this, I don't think that is an let's say too big of a statement to say that it is another revolution that is coming after the internet was one of the biggest, and previously, steam, electricity, blah blah blah. But then the AI is, I think, something that would change our world.
It's a game changer.
Yeah, and it's hard to tell in how big of a thing that is, because there are another tools coming, and we are still like, wow, okay. I'm the same to the same extent. I'm scared and I'm impressed, and then there's another tool and another tool, and like, okay, this as well, this as well. So that's an easy guess to say.
I have the idea that I think the AI is the future, that's for sure. Like it will never go away. But imagine that companies and websites, they already have so many data of us regarding who we are, our data profiles. So if you would connect that to personalized content, this AI can perfect personalized content to the maximum extent. You will see exactly the things you want to hear, or it will be fully personalized, because personalized content, it takes a lot of time at this moment. I think that is like, what
if you'd ask me like 2 or 3 years ago what's the biggest trend in e-commerce, it's personalization for sure. And at that point, it was based on cookies, based on whatever information the page was able to gather from you. Then they could, let's say, some kind of adapt the recommendation or even have adaptive page design, but not in terms of like the device, but rather what content and how to present it to you so that it fits your need. So that was back 2-3 years ago. We could say that that's the biggest trend. But then AI and in general big data can just fuel that even more. So
because they have all this data, they can very quickly make this.
I think like soon we will see that, for example, e-commerce platforms for each and every one of us. They will look much different. The Amazon won't be just one template that you see. For every one of us, it will be different because we have quite different shopping patterns, and it will just adapt. And my Amazon will be different than your Amazon.
It might even go further than the content indeed. It might even the navigation or recommendation. You might actually like these products. Right?
What's the starting page for you, right? Where do you look for things? And
So the question is, so if I'm starting in e-commerce, what would be my starting point?
What trends should be aware of that are emerging right now? Yeah, because people who join, for example, e-commerce companies might have some kind of understanding of what shopping online is, but then they might not know the trends that are there even.
Well, I think we're coming back to the AI topic, to be honest. I think this is the...
Yeah, I think so too, yeah. Description. I think usually the funniest, at least for me, it was back when I was working on marketplace platform on Emac, was to see if the content is overwritten or something like that, how crazy combinations we could have, because you have some crazy product and then description that's completely for something different, yet the description some kind of complements the product, or like and it's I would say that these were the funniest situations.
It happened in a previous company that I worked in. We had a very big list because on Amazon and other platforms, sometimes your content gets overwritten, right? So you overwrite the content again once that happened. So what had somebody done? You had like all this product description and everything, but somewhere in the file a part of that they like went down, but the titles and the numbers not. So you had like product A title with product B product descriptions and product A, everything was mixed.
And also when you can clearly see that this is not the final description, and you can see the edit notes. Like for example, there is a full description, like 2 paragraphs, and then there is like okay, they will put the extra amount to something here, and then you can see the rest. That you have the editor's notes in the description. That's one of the great things too.
I think the funniest things I have seen was generally in reviews, because reviews is where people get very creative, right?
It's a rolling, I think, already. Like there are fun pages with this reviews.
Like a review about a prison that the bed wasn't that comfortable, the people were not that friendly, like just making joke about the place or something like that.
Or product descriptions on like an Allegro or other things where people can like sell things themselves, not as a as a company, and they're selling like cars, but then they're creating the craziest, like old car, but with the craziest, I don't know, like a poem about the car or something. The people are very creative,
or like this auto-translated things, right? Because then you have like things that cannot go together or don't make sense. You're like, it's like a thank you from the mountain, right? Where you're like,
I didn't expect that this question would have so many. Because we discussed that there are different approaches depending on regions, and that the Asian approach is way different in terms of documentation of product, because there more is more. It's not less is more, it's more is more, because people are used to having ton of information there. It's a matter of alphabets, of how they are raised in the culture, and that they're just used to a lot of signs and informations everywhere. So you can see the primary image or listing, it is pure chaos when you go.
5 badges on it or something.
6 badges,
The rich cards are like this long.
And the product is so tiny on the primary image, but you know everything about the product, but you cannot clearly see the product itself, but you know all of the things about it.
So imagine how much the production costs are, for APAC in combination to Europe, where a shorter cart is like also more cost effective, right?
Yeah, you need to be way more creative in terms of designs there. Definitely. That's true.
I think that's one of the main differences indeed. Yeah. And in LATAM you see again that it's different, right? And that again they have different trends and different ways of working.
Yeah, that's true.
I think it mainly impacted behavior, because even my mom started buying things online, which she would never do otherwise, right? And I think, once you get used to that, actually you say like, actually that's quite easy. I can just order it. It comes to the parcel locker. Like, I should maybe do that more often. So, people got more into this.
Yeah, I think the best example of such influence is, let's say, in a part of the brief that we got from one of our clients, let's say the presentation that they created internally for their managers in order to convince them that it is worth to invest in e-commerce, and they showed the numbers in terms of like how the pandemic hit their category and what growth are they expecting in the next year, and that's why we need to invest more in e-commerce, and that's why they came to us, right? But that's also what I mentioned before, is that like the whole world at some point had to move at least partially to e-commerce. So we can see the brands that we didn't see before. We can see the brands that were just like, in general they were present, but maybe in groceries or something. But now they see that there's potential and they invest more in e-commerce. So I think that we can shop for way more things in e-commerce, and in general the world turned more digital.
Well, is it also connected to what we said before? Let's say that I'm a brand from Poland, I sell on Amazon. I don't need a physical store anymore in Sweden to sell in Sweden, because I can just sell to Amazon, right? So I think that's also a trend where these brands are globalizing much quicker, right? And you maybe can even see those smaller brands globalize much quicker.
I think in general, investing in customer journey, like from the start to the beginning, even from the starting points, as first visit on the store, and in general being visible, even inviting you to come to the newsletter and blah blah blah. These are the first points of the journey, and then even after the purchase, the after purchase marketing, right? And like the returning policy, and everything connected to that. This is really important in order for the people to, even if I don't know, I bought the wrong product, but the policy is so nice that I can return it easily, I will come back to this company, right? And buy more. But also on top of that, the loyalty programs, right? Or even like convincing people to download your application, and then you have some kind of coins or some stuff like that, and then people are feel that they actually, okay, there are some coins that I'm collecting, so maybe I'll buy there because they're like in coffee shops, right? You're collecting the stamps and stuff like that. I already have 8 stamps, so I will go there and not there.
Yeah, the Shopka is doing this very nice as well with the points that you can like.
They changed the game of applications.
Yeah, and also there, it's you register what you're buying, so you have a better customer profile, right? So it's smart on all angles from them, right?
Yeah, and also from local market, also Allegro adapted that with the coins on Allegro, that each product that you see have some kind of like one or two coins, and you're collecting coins that then you can change into some like payment method, right? But then sellers have to, if I'm not mistaken, have to pay something for that, for having this functionality available on their products. But then again, it's something like the stamps at the coffee shop, that okay, I'm collecting something, I will get like 5 coins by buying this thing.
Yes, so I will buy it from there, right? Especially I think in e-commerce, when sometimes the prices are the same, right? If you have 2 exactly the same prices for the same product, what is then determining where you're going to buy, right? That, it is those kind of extras, so loyalty, or you really have to have a preference for a certain, a brand, right? That you know, there are people who say, you know, I prefer to shop at MediaMarkt than at €35 or something like that, right? If you know, if they have certain return policies or certain ways, once the deals are very similar, you know, this is where you're making the pick, right? And I think, especially in price markets like Poland, for example, at a certain point, you cannot go lower because you know, there will be no margin left anymore. And then these things are actually much more important.
That's why, for example, Ceneo, which is the price comparison portal in Poland, like gives the opportunity to show a lot of these benefits, like the free delivery and stuff like that. Because when there is just a tiny difference in terms of prices, there are different factors who change the game. But you can also see that in like in terms of new roles that are in companies, because there are like customer experience manager, there's user experience, like user experience is on such a wave right now, and user interface designers, because company know that they need to think about the total experience from the beginning to the end, and not only prices and stuff.
If you know the payment is very difficult or doesn't make sense, you abandon the cart at some point, right? And you won't come back. And especially if you're a new company, you know, if the first time was very difficult, then the next time you see this retailer or like you think, oh no, it was very difficult, I will just buy it somewhere else, right? So, you know, this first impression is also very important to make.
That was a good question.
Yeah, so I'm happy. Okay, guys, so right now I can see that e-commerce has changed a lot.
Yes. Yes.
But the worst is yet to come. That's what I would say. Yeah, we'll see.
Well, the world is ever changing, right? That, and who knows where we are in 5 years? That.
Exactly.
I think
but we are ready.
Yeah, we're ready for it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very
much. All right, thank you.
Thanks.